beach fishing in the middle of wild weather. Hi, my name's Roger Osborne. Today, 1 minute it's pelting rain, the next minute it's okay. Who knows what's going to happen? But I've come down here because I'm always pumped to catch a fish. All right, I've hooked something. This is not a whiting, this is something bigger. And I'm going to be teaching you everything that I'm doing and explaining where I'm casting my line, what I'm thinking, and the general area that I'm fishing. Stick around to the end for a free PDF download which will outline some vital keys from today's session. If you're enjoying these videos, please make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's get started. The wind is blowing from the southeast, which is probably the worst wind you can get for surfing or fishing along the east coast of Australia. And there are rain squalls coming off the ocean. There's one that's just about to hit. So I kind of like the look of the water here. I'm right beside a lake that has just burst open from all the heavy rain. The water coming out of this lake is like chocolate, or a cross between chocolate and coffee. And it's running out into the surf. So on one side you've got this really brown water, and on the other side you've got green water. Often that's a great recipe for fishing. But I'm fishing straight into the wind. It's actually quite strong. Still, I'm pretty sure I'm going to catch some fish. And really, in these conditions, I'm doing well to find somewhere that I can actually catch fish today. So I'm going to walk over to the edge of this lake and give you a look at what it looks like where it's coming out. You can see where I'm standing here. This is just one of those small coastal lakes, and after a period of heavy rain they often burst open, and you can see how much sand has been washed away. On the other side, that's probably nearly 2 meters high of sand, and the water coming out here is really dark brown. And the surf is quite turbulent. If we kind of look over this way, you'll see there's a lot of wave action. It's really quite messy. But I've got some beautiful beach worms that I caught about an hour or so ago. There's some cracking worms. So I'm going to just flick some beach worms out in there and see what is sniffing around at the entrance of this lake. But there's this big storm is about to hit, so I'm going to need to take refuge. I don't think I should start fishing yet. I'm going to have to wait till the rain passes. The water just out here doesn't look particularly deep, but the tide is coming in, and there's sufficient depth of water you would expect to catch bream and whiting. So I'm quite happy to toss a bait out there. It's just starting to rain now. I can see there's a big bank of cloud coming. In fact, we're surrounded by some pretty dark cloud. And I think that rain's just going to get heavier. Yeah, heavy rain is about to hit. Over to the north, there's some really dark clouds. But that's okay, I can relax here for a little while. It's great being out here. You wouldn't be at home watching TV, would you? Although you are. I'm going to wander out there and have a cast. Looks like most of the rain has passed. It's just still a little bit of drizzle. But thankfully most of that big chunk of cloud kind of missed us a little bit. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But in between the sets I can see there's some nice little bits of green water. Also I'm going to try tossing my baits on the edge of where the brown water from the lake meets the green water from the surf. Sorry, water's dripping down from above. So I'm just going to be using some worms, because the beach worms are so versatile. You catch so many different fish on them. So I'm just going to use a double worm bait. I'm going to try casting near the rocks here, because there's a little bit of a channel just near the rocks. I reckon there could be some good bream out there. Then I'm going to try casting sideways down the beach to where the brown water meets the green water. So it's going to go wandering out into the sprinkle. I've only got a short jacket on and some board shorts. But I think my first cast will be straight out. When I come out of the shelter of this rocky outcrop, when I get to about here, the wind hits me really hard. Actually, and the wind is pushing the rain. Yeah, I can see in the distance. I'm just turning my back to the wind and the rain, because that sou'easter hits as soon as you come away from the rocks. But I can see in the distance that there's a clearing in the clouds, so the rain should stop. The water feels nice. I will just flick it out about, yeah, that's pretty good. Not a bad little spot. See how long it takes to get a bite. There's a bit of sideways sweep from right to left as the waves wash around the corner from the reef. I think my next cast I might walk out a little bit and pop it out just a bit further. I just had a bite. Have I got a fish? Yeah, I think I've got a fish. Got something on. How's that first cast? First cast into this, and I've got a fish. What is it? That's the question. Very, very, very encouraging. I hope it's not a stingray. What is it? Oh no, look at that. A bream. Okay, first cast into that little bit of water out there. I thought there could be some bream out there. So he would be big enough, he would be legal, but they're not very big at 25 centimetres. He's probably about 26 centimetres, so I'm going to put him back in. Beautiful little fish though. Off he goes. He's happy. All right, the rain has stopped. Got to grab a worm. Oh, there you go. I caught some quite long worms today. These are actually really good bait worms. Very good. I've still got my other bait on, so it didn't take too long to get a bite. So I'll see if I can catch a bigger one. And I am interested to see if I get any bites when I toss over onto the edge of the brown water over there. Okie doke. I'll just wait for a little gap in between the waves and walk out and chuck it out. This time I'm going to just ping it a little bit further, because I did get a bit of drift. I'm probably going to need to cast fairly low. When it's windy like this, I prefer not to make a high profile cast. I prefer to make more of a flat cast from the side. Definitely got out in the general area. I wouldn't have minded getting a little bit to the right of where it landed, but I think it'll be all right out there. I would like to have cast a little bit more to the right then, but I'm still in some reasonably good water. So we'll see how long it takes to get another bite. And the tide is coming in, so that's good. It's just going to fill up a little bit more. It's high tide after dark at about 6:30, but I'm not going to hang around that long. It'll be pretty cold. There's probably more rain. Got him. Oh, okay, second cast, another fish. So that's pretty cool. I don't think it's huge. It might be another small bream. Hopefully it's a little bit bigger and I can keep it. Because I'm not someone who just catches fish to release them. I like to eat them. Although I don't catch more than I need, generally. Yeah, it's another bream, but it's bigger. Look at that. Look at this guy. He's got to get out of the water. That's another beautiful bream. He's definitely a bit much bigger fish than the last one. I'll hold on to him. Yeah, he's a beautiful fish. Much more solid than the last one. So that's, oops. I'm always mindful of their spikes. So that's 2 casts, 2 fish. I think I'm going to catch dinner. I'm really glad I chose this spot. I had to have a bit of a look around today because just to get out of some relief from the weather. I don't devote hours to looking for spots, because when you study the area of coast where you live, you generally have a good idea of what will work in different types of weather. But you're always not really sure till you get down to the beach and have a look. All right, I'm going to see if I can get this a little bit closer to the rocks this time. So I'm going to walk out here in between these waves and flick it to my right a bit. Yeah, that's pretty good. That landed in the green water just to the left of the rocks. Typical bream country. But I've got a wind that's blowing sideways, so I get quite a bow in my line at the moment. That's not really hindering me from catching fish though. I'm getting bites already. Yep, something's going on. Alright, my line's gone slack. I'm just going to wind it in towards me. Yeah, I got a fish. That was strange. It swam in with it. It might not be a bream. Oh, I just lost it. I had a fish on, but it just got off near the edge. You can see my top bait, the worm is pretty mangled. So I'm just going to whack a bit more worm on, chuck it back out again. But man, it took almost no time at all to get a bite then. Strange. Last time when I hooked that fish and lost it, I threw my line to the right, but it ended up down the beach really quickly. I'm just holding my rod down a little bit lower because of the wind. I would like to have known what that last fish was. Not exactly sure what it was, but it certainly didn't take long to get bites. Just going to walk back a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of, it's a little bit wild out here with the wind and the wash out there. Ah, that's a good bite. Oh, got him. A little bit of line there being taken. It feels a little bit strange. It's actually heading over towards the rocks. It's another bream. Another nice one, actually. It's a similar size to the last bream I caught. It's quite a long sort of fish, this guy. He's not so deep, this one. He's a little bit longer. There you go. So I'll add him to my tally. I'm using my typical 2-hook rig with a long shank hook. I have one bait below my sinker and one bait about 80 centimetres above my sinker. So far all of the fish have been hooked on my top bait, which is the bait that is suspended above the bottom. I actually haven't lost a bait on my bottom bait. So you can see where that hangs off my line there, and you'll see, I'll lift that up, you see the gap to where my star sinker is, and then my worm bait below it. And you can see here there's a swivel down there, but you can see the star sinker is loose. It's running in between the top hook, which is a 3-way swivel with that worm bait on it, and it's sliding down to the bottom one. And then I've just got that down there with the other worm. All 4 fish have been hooked on the top hook. It's not always that way, but it's interesting to note that. We'll see if it continues. Now I'm going to have another cast out here where I'm catching those fish, but then I might try with the wind down the beach where the lake's coming out and see if I get any bites, casting over that way, right in the entrance of the lake, because that looks pretty fishy. I'm walking out beyond these rocks here just because I like to make it easier to cast and pinch a little bit of extra distance rather than staying up on the dry land. That's landed in the perfect spot. I was beach worming this afternoon and I had my phone in my back pocket and I got smashed by a wave and it got pretty wet. But I've actually killed about 6 phones in the last few years. So I have insurance. I am getting bites already. Yep. This is great fishing actually. Really good fishing. Would you believe it? This one's on the bottom hook. It's another bream. And this bream is actually on the bottom hook. It tricked me. All the other ones are on the top hook. These bream have got a really interesting colour. They're kind of quite like bronzy in the middle and quite dark up the top. Yeah, really kind of a really bluey black up along the top. But it's turning out to be a great little spot today. I'm glad I came up here. I'm going to cast in a different spot this time because I've had 5 casts for 5 hookups. So now I'm going to cast sideways or with the wind at my back and see if I get any bites down that way. So I'm going to walk out this way a little bit, just across this sandbar. There is a current of water coming out from the lake, although I'm probably going to get a bit of drift from right to left because these waves are going to push my line across. I'm going to walk a little bit further over, just watching these waves. And I'm going to flick it out over the back there. And then I'll just walk back a little bit. Alrighty. Landed in a great spot. Really good. It's kind of landed on the edge of the brown water and the green water. I'm pretty close to the shore on the other side, actually. You'd think that there'd be something sniffing around there on the edge of that brown water. It's not very deep. Yeah, I'm getting a bite now actually. Yep, definitely had a bite then. I actually had a bite on both of my baits then, oops. Get it out of the way of that water. Felt like bream bites. So we'll just see when I toss out there next time. So I'm going to toss this bait out in front of the entrance to the lake again. I had bites on both of my hooks on that cast. I hooked a fish momentarily and it got off. Felt like a bream. So I'm going to toss back out in the same sort of area. I need to walk out into this sandy bit because it's a little bit of a distance over the other side there, although there's a couple of waves coming in now. Woo. There's a bit of a break in the waves, so I'll wander over here again and get my bait out into the zone. Beautiful. Yeah, that's a good spot to land. I say that because that's where that kind of little channel is there, and I expect I'm going to get some bites. I might even pop a cast right in the edge here in a minute. Just really pushing from my right hand side to my left, sweeping. There's a big sweep near where that seagull is. I just had a couple of nibbles then. Yeah, I'm getting a bite now. Oh, did I get him? I don't think so. I may have lost my bait, I think. I'll put my line in. I was having so much fun over in that other spot with the bream, I'm tempted to go back over there, but I might have one more cast over here first. Oh, I got a little bit of weed on my line. Both of my baits have had a bit of a go, but it's a little bit of weed, probably coming out of the lake. A little bit turbulent, but the fish are still there. I've chucked back out here again because I had bites in front of the lagoon, small bites, but I think I'll chuck it back out where the bream were, see if the same thing happens. I think with the tide coming in, it's going to get a little bit harder to wade out across this sandbar, but the depth of water is going to improve a little bit, so I would expect that the fish would be in around this area on the high tide. The water's quite warm, but when the wind blows on you, it certainly makes you feel cold. My line has already been washed a long way from where it landed. I cast out to the right a little bit, but it's been swept across. Haven't felt any bites yet. This is actually the rod that I normally use with my 15 kilo line on a bigger reel. It's a fiberglass rod. I really quite like it. Even though it's rated 10 to 15 kilos, I've actually got, this is kind of my middle reel. I've got 20 pound monofilament on this reel, so I'm not fishing super light today. I've actually got a 20 pound main line and 20 pound fluorocarbon leader. So that's fairly heavy for bream, but they obviously don't mind it in these turbulent conditions. And if I did hook something bigger, because I've got 20 pound line, that's going to give me a little bit of pulling power. I didn't get any bites in, so I'm going to pull it in and chuck it back out there. You can see how the water's got a bit deeper already because I was standing out beside that rock before, but now it's certainly a bit deeper out there now than it was before. So I'm going to wander out here a little bit before these waves hit and flick my bait out next to the rocks. See if a bream can take it before it gets washed away. I saw a little bit of my worm fly off when I cast out there, but I think I've got enough bait on there. How stunning is this scenery? It's amazing. You should see the rain clouds down that way. That looks so wild. You can see up the coast and you can just see the rain coming down from the clouds. I'm glad it's raining there and not here. Yeah, gotcha. But that's what it's like today. It's like 1 minute it's pouring. Is that a fish or a rock? I might have a rock. I got a bite. I had a bite then. Would you believe I'm snagged? It's because I think I'm snagged and I've got a fish. Because I can feel it kicking like that. It's because I'm fishing right at the end of the beach, really close to the rocks, and looking for bream. I've just tightened my drag. I'm just going to have to break this off. Oh, got it. I'll just see if I got my sinker back. No, I didn't. There you go. I was a bit closer to the rocks than I realised. Just trying to see where the end of my line is. You can see while I'm winding it, I'm holding my line between my fingers because I'm tensioning the line as I wind it back onto my reel. I don't want to wind it back onto my reel loose. So I'm holding it tight while I'm winding it through my fingers. Yep. Here I have the end of my line and there's nothing there. Man, it's probably about 3/4 of an hour before dark, so still got plenty of time to fish. I'm going to quickly go and re-rig. My lighter rod was already rigged, so I'm just swapping over to it. It's the same rig though, exactly the same as the other rod, although this only has 15-pound line on it, as opposed to the 20-pound line on my other rod. But at least I don't have to spend time re-rigging, which is good. So yeah, I was mentioning this is exactly the same rig. It's 2 hooks with a running sinker in between the 2 hooks. Same type of hooks. Everything's the same really. It's just a little lighter. I'm just going to wait a moment for a little gap and I'll walk out a bit and just flick it out into that nice little spot, and hopefully not as close to the rocks this time as last time. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's about the right spot. I might feel the drag a little bit less because this line's lighter. My intrepid camera person's getting flogged by the waves. Well, here comes a bite. Yeah, got him. Oh, yep. Alrighty. It's not quite as robust as my other rod. Takes a little bit more being gentle. I'm walking to the left because I'm walking away from the rocks. Because I want to encourage this fish to come this way away from the rocks, because it's actually at the moment heading over that way. Oh, it's swimming in with the water right now. What's going on? Man, that just came in with this wave. All right. Here he is. That's really weird, you know. I've got a bream, but I actually think I had 2 fish. You can see there's another bit of a cloudburst coming. I actually think I had 2 fish on then, and I've lost my bottom hook and sinker. So I do have to re-rig. But it's another beautiful fish though. We're really going to enjoy eating these fish. But I better get my line rigged up again quickly because I've only got about another half an hour of light. I wonder who this guy is. He's got a soft plastic, I think. Oh, I've got 4 brim. I'm just using worms for bait.
Good size?
Oh yeah, they're reasonably good.
Yeah, legal?
Yep. Oh, definitely, yeah. You got a little flick in a plastic.
Hard body.
Oh, hard body.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty turbulent out there.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to cast just in front of. Is that cool?
Yeah, sweet. I'm going to get walking.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. With the tide coming in, the brown water is no longer coming out of the lake and the seawater is getting washed in. I just flicked my line just at the entrance of the lake here in the green water where that's getting washed in there, just to see if there's anything hanging around in the edge there, see if I can get a bite. Otherwise, I'll pop it back out where I'm catching all of those brim. But you've always got to try all these different things. It's great to test and to cast in different spots. That's how you can get some amazing fish, rather than just tossing it in the same spot all the time. Okay, so no nibbles straight away just there. I didn't toss it out very far then. I might just toss it beyond the entrance just a little bit, I think. Because if there was fish there, they would just eat that straight away. There's quite a lot of water movement here into the entrance of the lake. I notice there's a little bit of weed on my line from where it just landed. Anyways, I'm going to flick it a bit further out to the right and across. Yep. I was maybe just a little bit too close in there before. See how long it takes to get a bite, but the sun is starting to get low now. I'm getting a bit of a bite. Definitely had a bite then, just waiting. It was only a small bite. Yeah, I'm getting a bite again now. Felt like a small brim. Yeah, I'm hooked up. Yep. Just felt like a small brim then. Oh, there's a bit of weight. I might even have 2 fish because I've just got a bit of weight there. Unless I've got weed as well. I don't know if I've hooked onto some weed and a fish. It's possible I've got weed and fish. Not quite sure. Just going to walk over near the edge here. What's going on? Yeah, I think I've got some weed on my line and a fish. Yeah, that's exactly right. Weed and fish. I think I might have a whiting. A little whiting and some weed. Actually, the weed fell off. My line's just tangled around the tip of my rod. The weed fell off, thankfully, and I got the whiting, but the whiting's too small. See that little guy? So I'll let him go. And I get my worm bait back, which is good. So I still got my bait, my top bait, still got my bottom bait. I won't throw out there again, I'll toss back out this other spot. I think. See if I can get another brim. It's getting more difficult out here because the tide really has come in quite a lot. And I'll probably end up casting back out over there again. You can hardly see that rock. The rock that I was walking past earlier is submerged now. It sticks its head up every now and then. But I can see that there's a nice deep trough just out there. That's really just where I want to land my line. It's just out in there. All right, I'll flick it out. I just landed right on the edge of it, which is okay. I would like to get a little bit further, but I think it'll be all right. Oh, I hooked up straight away then. Yep, how quick is that? I really only was in the water for a few seconds. It's amazing because it's so turbulent out there. There's water going everywhere. Man, that was quick. Why does this feel heavy? It's only one fish. One fish and a bit of weed. But it's another beautiful bream. And that took maybe 10 seconds when it hit the water. Yeah, similar size to the other ones. I have 5 of these. 5 beautiful bream. But we will enjoy them. Okay, well that was really quick that time when I chucked my line in the water. If you'd like to increase or improve your fishing skills and learn how to catch fish consistently, why don't you consider joining my online fishing club at rogersfishing.com. I have a number of fishing courses that I've created which you have access to, and also I do a fortnightly Zoom training where we get together and we discuss specific fishing topics, and I have an online community as well where we share photographs and knowledge with each other. So check that out at rogersfishing.com, and time to get my line back out in the water. That was like an instant bite then. But it's been all bream out here. Let's see if anything else wants to show its face. Okay, I'm landing in a good zone out there. See how quick I get a bite this time. Even though my line's being dragged around a bit, I'm still getting bites. Getting a bite now actually, I just had a bite. Yep, I think I'm on. Yep. Okay, well that was almost as quick. This rod is definitely, you've got to be a lot more gentle with this rod than the other rod that I had before with my 20-pound line. This one you can't just, you've got to be careful. Just got the one, I think, yep. Bream again. Most of the bream I've been catching today have been in the realm of about 30 centimetres, 30 to 35 centimetres in size, which are just a beautiful size for eating. Just seen some mullet jumping out of the water, leaping out of the water right in the entrance of the lake, just as the water's washing in. And very often you get larger fish, obviously predatory fish, chasing the mullet or under them. So I'm just going to flick my line out and toss it in amongst the mullet, see if anything wants to have a go. Because it's certainly deep enough out there now that the tide's come in. So I pretty much landed where the mullet are. Let's just see if there's anything else in there. That water is really coming in now, majorly. Yeah, I'm getting a bite. Well, I just had a bite. Oh, what's going on? I've got a fish, yeah, I'm on. What have I hooked in amongst the mullet? Have I hooked a mullet? I've caught mullet on worms before. Or have I hooked a whiting or a brim? It's got a bit of fight in it, that's for sure. It's swimming around to my right, interestingly enough. Oh, hang on. Oh, look at that. 2 whiting. And they're both good eating size. Look at that. Double hook up on whiting. Can you believe that? One of them I have actually foul hooked and the other one's got the hook in its mouth. Wow, the whiting are in there. I've got to be careful with this guy. I don't want to get the hook in my hand. I just hooked him under there, but he's a good size for eating. Wow, how's that? Double whiting. I'm going to chuck it straight back out there. Look at that. He's a good one. Well, I chucked out there before and I hooked 2 whiting, but I think anything could be swimming in there right now in search of the small fish. So I'm going to throw it back out in the same spot again. It's amazing the change with the tide. It really is rushing in quite strongly. It's just one of these things you've got to, you know, when you look around and you just got to pick the best spot at the time. I had a look at a couple of beaches today on my way here and they didn't look very good. And I was almost thinking, oh, look, you know, it's just too out of control. But this has been awesome. And let's see if it's the whiting again. I'm thinking the deeper part of the channel is just that way a little bit. Look at this wave. Whoa! It's not even high tide yet. I'm going to wind in and cast out again. All right, I've hooked something. This is not a whiting. This is something bigger. I've got a bigger fish here. I don't know what it is. Oh. Oh, what have I got? Oh. Thankfully the tide's washing in. I might be able to use that to my advantage. It's got a bit of weight in it. I'm going to be gentle because my line's not that heavy. It's definitely bigger, the biggest fish I've hooked today for sure. I'm thinking it could be a decent sized flathead. That's what I'm thinking. Could be a reasonably big flathead. Hanging around where those mullet are. Because it's not knocking its head like a brim. Okay, it's getting a bit closer now. What is it? Okay, I'm going to get in near the shore here with this wave. I've got some weed on my line, but I've got a fish. Took a bit of a run then. How exciting. There it comes. Man, this is wild. Look at how much water movement and water pressure there is. Okay, it's not wanting to come in just yet. Here we come. We might get him in this time. You know what it is? It's a really nice flathead, but I've foul hooked him. That's what the problem is. It's a beautiful fish. He's got a lot of weight in him, this guy. So much water movement, it's crazy. Okay, this time. Look at that. Look at this flathead. I've never hooked a flathead like that before. He's within the legal limit. Okay, I'm just going to measure this guy because the legal limit for flathead in New South Wales is 70 centimetres. This guy's close to it. I think he's a bit under, but it's a long fish. I want to make sure that that if he's over the size, he goes back. If you'd like a free PDF download of some vital keys from today's session, hit the link in the corner or in the description below. Believe it or not, I keep a tape measure in my fishing bag. So I'm going to measure this flathead. And he is 66.5 centimetres. So just 3 centimetres underneath the limit. We love eating flatheads, so I'm going to be keeping him. So I'm just going to flick it back out into the entrance again and see what else is going to bite. So this has been a really interesting session. It just goes to show you how awesome it is fishing at the entrance of a lake straight after heavy rain. We've got some beautiful brim, some couple of really nice whiting, a quality flathead. In general today, the conditions on the beaches are really just too rough and too wild. But it's amazing if you look around and you can find a quiet spot somewhere in the corner where you can hide out of the weather, you can have some really good fishing. And it's certainly proved the case today in this spot. We've got a lovely feed of fish. It just happened with the tide. It was a good tide as well. We had a tide change. The tide coming in towards just before dark. It's pretty good. I'm getting a nibble. I could feel something then. Something really small. I'm going to wind it in. That was like the tiniest bites ever. I'm going to wind it in and... Oh, I got a piece of weed. I felt this weight hit it all of a sudden, but I got some weed on the way in. I'm going to toss it out a little bit further beyond the entrance. Whoops. The weed got itself off. All right, so how's my bait? Yeah, my bottom bait got a little bit hammered. Well, this has been an epic session. Really amazing scenery. It's so beautiful in this wild weather. Just the clouds themselves are amazing. And just great fishing. Thank you so much for joining me. I trust that you've learned a few new things through the course of this video and enjoyed this beautiful part of the world. I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to have one more cast. Just one more cast, only one more. Has anyone ever said that before? Just one cast, just one more. It's too much fun.